Hey guys, Tisha here, and we are back for another Sister Wives Season 8 review. This is the tell all. We learned some new things, but overall, I'm wondering if I'm going to keep doing these tell alls because I just feel like it's a bunch of the same stuff over and over again. If there's something that I leave out, please feel free to write it down in the comment section below, and I will make sure that I respond. Also, sorry in advance for the noise that you may hear in the background. They're working on the roof. There's a lot of walking around and stuff like that. And I still want to make sure that I get this out because I'm trying to enjoy being off for the remainder of today. So we're back with the adults. The adults. I'm already making up words. With the adults and Tamron Hall, she speaks to them about how she's noticed that they're opening up a little bit more in this season. Tamron says that with Cody being as protective as he is of their family, she was surprised that they allowed for the students, Antoinette and David and Richard in their home. I promise y'all at some point I'm going to get it together. I don't know why she was so surprised. I feel like it was done primarily for the show. It was something else for them to film. He said that he did it to kind of prove that they're a normal family and that he found it interesting that the professor already had his own stereotypes and preconceived notions about the family when he asked questions like who is the love wife and who is the sex wife and who is the motherly wife and things of that nature. And I feel like they look for any reason to feel like someone is judging them. The professor is an anthropologist. By nature, he is supposed to observe humans and their characteristics and the things that they do. So whether this was a monogamous family or not, it's a family. They're there to see what's going on. But Cody, himself had told us in season 1, as early as season 1, that each wife provides something different, something that the other one doesn't. So it's not far-fetched that a professor would ask, who does what. It's kind of the same thing, just being said in different ways. If he didn't say anything about sex, it wouldn't have even been an issue. But whenever they use that word, they automatically get on the defense. So Robin says she thinks it's strange that people think that the 4 of them make up one wife and people are still trying to make them monogamous when they are not that. We see the students, we see how over time their impressions changed by being with them as they're showing clips of them. And you see Antoinette saying that the kids seemed happy, that she was wrong about, how she thought the parenting was. Seems like a healthy environment. And you see how happy the adults are to hear these things being said. You also see them smile when it's said that they couldn't see that there was a favorite wife. As I said before, I don't feel like there was going to be a reason why they would see that because they know that they were being observed. So they were all on their best behavior. They're excited about what the students have to say, and a part of them feel vindicated. Tamron points out how it's so interesting that they're so concerned about what these students had to say when they're on a nationally syndicated show and they are sitting here seeking these 2 students' approval. It goes back to the fact that they were always looking for some sort of validation and they were always worried about what people thought. And that's one of the reasons why they were looking for that. Cody said that he just loves the fact that he was able to kill one of the many stereotypes, which is that he's not sitting around trying to pick up women and looking for another wife. And Tamron says, oh, so you're not worried about the stereotype that you might be a jerk. And he says, no, that's not what he cares about. He says he does think he's a jerk. He said because he says what's on his mind all the time, and sometimes it may be insensitive. I agree. A lot of times it's insensitive. Overall, they're glad that they were able to prove certain stereotypes wrong. They go to commercial break. They come back and they are discussing the argument between Christine and Cody about Ken. We saw him not acknowledging her feelings. We saw him tell her she was not being responsible for how she was behaving. We saw her telling him he was not being responsible for how he was behaving. And we also saw that the wives did nothing. If you want a further breakdown, go back a few episodes and you'll see all that I had to say about that. But Tamron read one of the comments where the person was basically saying that Christine was being ridiculous and she could have had thicker skin and gotten over it. I see why people were annoyed by the situation, but given the context, Kody didn't have her back. You want to know that the person that you love, the person that you sleep with at night in the same bed, the person that is supposed to have your back actually has your back. She wasn't asking for anything ridiculous. All she wanted was for him to talk to him and see if he would be willing to give her an apology. Do I feel like she had a reason to be upset? Yes. Now, did it need to be drawn out the way that it was and turn into a whole thing with her slamming RV doors and stuff of that nature? No, it didn't. But she did have a reason to be upset because her husband wasn't even acknowledging her thoughts. Instead, he was immediately getting irritated by what she had to say. He belittled her and he talked to her like she was a kid, even in front of the other wives. Christine says that she understands that different people feel different ways. She got a little bit of good comments and a little bit of bad, but she's okay with the situation now. She says that her and Kody are okay. Kody said that he just didn't like feeling like Christine was trying to pick his friends or complaining about somebody who at his core is a good man. And I think that that's all good and well, but you still could have acknowledged her feelings, especially since it's been said that later on, even though Kody never approached him, that Ken saw the episode and he reached out to Christine and apologized himself without still being spoken to by Kody about the matter. So how much did Kody really have her back? He said he got to the point with this whole situation where he stopped reading the posts because he was so sick of seeing the different things that were being said about him and about how he was a jerk. And he doesn't understand why people were saying things like Christine and Janelle should leave him. He just didn't think that it required all of that. And I said, it's so funny how he was okay when people were complaining about Christine and people had things to say about Christine. But the moment it turns around to people calling him a jerk, now he just can't bother looking at the comments. He struggles with having the truth in his face. He's sorry he didn't understand the PMS topic, and he said it was a new problem to him. I'm not taking that PMS crap. At this point, you've been married to 4 women. You understand what some of the symptoms are, and there's no need for you to even bring attention to it or say that her feelings that she was having equated to her menstrual cycle. Like, come on now, that's disrespectful and that's rude. And just because she was upset or she cared about something, we're going to equate it to hormones? Yeah, right. We get to the part where Christine is offended about the comment that Kody made about their non-existent courtship. Tamron asks, what exactly is going on with this relationship? Christine very quickly stands by her man. She says Kody and her love each other and they know that their relationship has its ups and downs. It's been 21 years. He then says he just needs things to be better because Christine lives in a rose-colored glasses world and everything has to be perfect. I think that was yet another dig, even though Christine didn't pick up on it. I think that it was a dig because why is it bad if she looks at everything through a rose-colored world? Why do you have to make it seem like it's negative? I don't think that Christine wanted everything to be perfect, but I do think she wanted to be respected by her husband. I'm glad she's with someone now who embraces even that part of her. After the whole thing aired with the whole argument with Christine and him, he wanted to know how they could get out the show. Not because of how badly he felt, but because of how badly he looked. No matter what, it's going to be all about Kody. Tamron says, so why didn't you all end the show then? And he said, as well as some of the other ladies, that they decided not to stop because they still had a mission. And I said, the mission that they had was money. Why would they end a show that finally had them above water? Because let's be clear, had it not been for the show, he wouldn't have been able to court Robin because she wouldn't have wanted him. He wouldn't have been able to sit here and to have the finances to up and leave and go to Las Vegas. And he sure wouldn't have been able to purchase all them homes. So this show is the mission, and the mission is the money. We then talk about Christine's mom moving in and how much smoother it has been for Christine. She says she loves it. She loves having her mom there, and the kids are loving and benefited from it too, and that they are much happier, which makes me wonder what her mother did to make them so much happier. Kody wasn't heavily involved, and that is why Christine wanted her mom there. Christine's mother helped her in a way that Kody never was willing to help her, and it probably took away some of that loneliness that she was feeling. They then talk about Robin and the help that she also gets. I'm just sitting here like, it's so funny how this woman needs help with the kids that she has. She needed help even before Solomon came, and now we know in season 9 that, I think it's season 9, she's going to get pregnant with another child. Leon has been gone for over a year and a half. Mary says that her bond has changed as a result of Leon being gone because she's not interacting as much, but it's also because the kids are older and she doesn't have the type of relationship with the younger ones that she did with the older ones. She said, you got to think, before with the older children, I was babysitting them, I was watching them, I was sometimes teaching them. It was a completely different dynamic. Tamron talked about the importance of them bonding and wanting to know when is the last time as just moms they had a night out. It gets extremely quiet, and then Janelle says that they don't do it often. If they're not spending time with each other's kids, do we really think that they're going to spend time with each other? Heck no. So Mary and Robin apparently went out recently, because Robin is quick to say that. The other ladies say good. And then we hear that it's been a couple of years since they all went out. And I would assume that it was probably that time that they all went out to get fabric for the wedding that they did. That would be my guess. When they went to, I can't remember where they went to, but they went out of town. They looked at different swatches and things of that nature to design these dresses, and they used that as a reason to get away, around the time that Truly got sick. They had a whole season dedicated to getting closer as a family, and that commitment ceremony, just for them to do all of that work with no commitment, dumb. Christine says that she trusts and loves these ladies, and Tamron says, I understand all of that, but what I'm asking about is your sister wives dynamic. You all told me that you were going to work on it. Why haven't you worked on it? And the Bird says that they've gotten to the place where they've overscheduled themselves. You make time for what you want to make time for. Bottom line is, these women didn't make time for each other because they didn't want to spend time with one another. There is no reason why I have friends who live as far as 8 hours away from me, and I still see them a few times a year. These women live right next door to each other, but they can't see each other. It makes no sense. The Bird says that she's busier than she's ever been in her whole life. And I guess that this job, really, Sister Wives Closet, is just so demanding because the millions of us are making all these purchases. And they went from selling like 500 pieces every 2 months to now doing 1 million. She is in high demand, y'all. She says they have to carve out time. They show us a clip of how 2 other children graduated, which would be Maddie and Mykelti, and how all the adults were supposed to participate in this thing. TLC has dropped the ball. I kept saying that something was off about this, that I remember hearing that there were more episodes and things of that nature, and Tulips and Cats pointed out to me that what happened was there was other episodes that we didn't get to see, and we didn't get to see it because of copyright issues. So my thing is, Why not? You know that this show is being watched. You see that we're going back and watching old episodes, which is part of the reason why they've done the different variations of things that they've done now, where the family is going back and watching clips and talking about it, much like how the YouTubers do and the content creators do and the bloggers do. Now they know that we're doing it. So why not fix that footage and re-release it where that you get approval, or you just take it out and we can just see them dancing without the music. But we missed this part. Apparently there was a dance and a lip sync thing that they were supposed to do in front of everyone. And the thought of it was mortifying to Janelle. So mortifying that as they were making votes on what they were going to do, Janelle walked out on the process. If you remember this because you remember watching it in the past, feel free to add details down below. She said that overall, whenever they go out and things of that nature, that she finds herself being embarrassed because of how loud they are and how much attention they command, that she just wants to blend in. Janelle does not like to be in the spotlight. She still has self-esteem issues. I get it. She even says that she's realized that maybe because of her weight and things of that nature, this has always been a thing for her. She also talks about how she's not really great at dancing. And Tamron says, to be honest, I've seen a lot of clips over the years and the different seasons, and none of y'all have rhythm. So you'll be okay. And I just thought about Cody and his, his dancing. So I agree with Tamron. We see a homemade video that they're making of the two Maddies, of how she was versus how she is. I don't remember the whole thing because once again I said the copyright issues, so I didn't get to see that. Janelle was the star. We then see a clip of Maddie talking with Tamron about her decision to be a part of the Mormon faith and how she does feel at some point she'll have to defend her family, but she is ready to do that. She says that her family brought her joy and she doesn't plan to disassociate with them just because she doesn't have the same beliefs in them. And if she is asked, she will be able to stand up for them. Christine says either way, she knows that Maddie will be okay. She'll be stronger. And Janelle says Maddie is a scrapper. She's going to be okay. So it's been 5 years. Dayton and Aurora and Brianna want to have the Browns' last name, according to Robin. She says they talk about it on a regular basis and it's so frustrating to them. I still do not believe this. And if it is true, they could have done it without going as far as they did. I remember when my son years ago had told me that he wanted to change his last name to my last name because he has his father's last name. And my statement to him was, we can revisit this conversation when you become an adult. Because when you get frustrated or you're mad or you're hurt, it's really easy to say certain things. But how are you going to feel at the end of the day when you are older and you understand things more? As of right now, we had that same conversation and he likes his last name. He said it flows better with his name than mine does. So he'll just make the best out of it. And I can't do anything but respect that. But that goes back to saying these are kids. They only know but so much. Some of those things are being pushed onto them because it's really like, adopt me. I want his last name. Just go change your name. Do a legal name change. Cody says that he just wants to be there if something happens to Robin. We see the clip of Mary talking about the legal divorce and Mary is crying again. She says yet again that she knows that Cody wants this and how he is with his kids and how their family and they need to be a part of it on paper. Cody claims that in this scene, he was trying to separate from the word divorce when she was telling him that she was going to do this. It was like he was hearing a shattering of glass. And I'm just like, him and Robin are so dramatic when they try to discuss things or describe things to them. Like they really want to make it seem like it's really bothering to them to their core. Where if you're just honest about it, it's received better than this fairy tale stuff that they do. This over dramatization that they do. So he said he had to maneuver around what she was saying. He just wanted to make sure that Mary wasn't wanting to divorce him, which is why he kept asking that and asking that and asking that, because we know he wants to actually do the divorcing. He don't want her to do it. I said before, it was not a shock to him. Him and Robin were throwing feelers out there all the way along to Mary for years, and Mary didn't even realize it. Maybe he felt that there was some truth to her wanting to be divorced, because at this point he was treating her like crap. If that whole shattered glass thing is true, he already started withholding certain things from her. I'm sure sometime around here the whole melted ring situation happened and he was not being there for her emotionally. So maybe that's why he thought she was really divorcing him. They watched the playback of Mary telling Christine and Janelle. Kody is watching Christine's response like a hawk, to the point where he says, look at her jaw hit the floor. As I said before, I knew that Kody was going to look back at this and want to know how the women responded, and he was going to use it to his benefit, which is part of the reason why I feel like Christine made sure that she appeared to be extremely happy, because if she didn't, it would come back and bite her in the butt, which is also another reason why I feel like they shouldn't have done it this way. It wasn't safe for them to express their true emotions without it being held against them, honestly. Janelle said that she didn't say anything because she was in shock. Tamron says, were you in shock, or were you suffering from that? If you can't say something nice, don't say something at all. And she says no, but I think that's exactly what it was. I said it before. The stoic nature of Janelle was removed during that clip. Janelle says that she loves Robin's kids as much as her own. She gets a little choked up and she says, I don't cry. She just couldn't think of anything to say. And she keeps talking about how she was grabbing for the logical thing to talk about, which was the taxes. That's the only logical thing she could think of. And I call BS. When I see BS, I'm going to call it. It's not true. Janelle here is lying. If you don't agree with me, you can put it down in the comment section. We can agree to disagree. That's fine. Just keep it respectful. This has nothing. Seriously. We don't have to think the same way. I've said it before. I like getting your opinions because sometimes what you all say makes me look at something differently. But this had nothing to do, in my opinion, with logic. Janelle was feeling emotions in that moment, and Janelle does not like to embrace her emotions. So she suppresses them, and as a result, the response that we got was this whole logic thing. I'm going to go logic, basically, because if I go logic, it will get them off my back. She says, this does in reality change things. Robin says it changes the agreement that they had when they got together. Mary was the first wife with the legal marriage, and now that won't be the case. Kody then brings it back to it being about the children and then having a safe home without worrying about somebody taking them where they don't want to go. More lies. Who got them to this point where they don't want to leave and go visit their father and his family? Because I very much so remember very early on when they were taking the kids to go see them, and the kids were excited about going. They didn't even care about the house thing as much as the parents did. They just were excited about going to see their other family and their dad. So how did it get to this point where now they just want to make sure that the kids don't end up where they don't want to go? Which some of them are old enough to tell the judge what they'd like to do. It gets on my nerves. We hear again about, these walls that they had to go through, and how this was the first wall, and how appreciative Robin is of this. And now the next wall is the husband, and then the next wall is the judge, and that there are no guarantees. We see them sign the papers and how emotional it is for Mary. They show a clip of Robin at the bottom left corner, and she is really trying hard to muster a tear. It's the blink, 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 blink. I get so tired of seeing her do that. It's so aggravating to watch. Like, so aggravating. There's no way I would be able to be in that family, see her always do that, and then not see something come of it. Like, if you're going to do that, I want to see an actual tear fall. Seriously. Tamron says there's a lot of tears. Mary says, you wanted a sisterhood, you got a sisterhood. And they start laughing. I felt like that was slightly passive aggressive, but them crying in that moment doesn't make a sisterhood. I cry about people that I don't even know. I watch movies all the time and cry. So that's not a sisterhood moment to me. Tamron wants her to explain it all and why there's so many emotions. And she said it was about the kids and the unity of the family. And that's why she did it. It's the ending of something that they had for 24 and a half years, but she still has eternity. Mary is still talking. And the bird interrupts her and then makes it about her. She's going to put her on her performance now, and she's looking to the right, and she's trying to muster up some additional tears now to make sure that that attention is focused on her, and they all fell for it. She says, I have signed divorce papers before, and it was because I didn't want to be married anymore. And there I am, and I'm watching these two people who love each other. And I think about my situation and how do you compare? It's just not the same. It's something that's so painful to watch. The only person who was painful for in that clip was Mary. And I don't care what Robin was saying. It wasn't painful for her. Kody was leaned back and he was rubbing whoever he had to rub just to make sure that the papers were signed. Because all of that went slowly and went away, you know, all that her feeling so sorry and all those other things when she wanted to have the legal marriage done in front of her kids. Yeah, we're not gonna leave that out. So it's so painful to see these two people who still love each other sign this, but it wasn't painful for you to want to have a little mini wedding with Kody and your kids. After this woman that you love so much and who still loves this man had to sit there. You could have just went and signed the paper at the Justice of the Peace and called it a day, but you had to make a to-do of that too. Janelle says that she wants to point out this is one of the most painful things that Mary could have done. And she doesn't want anyone to underestimate that. And I feel like for the first time, this is Janelle standing up for Mary. I feel like she's right. Regardless of the reason why Mary did what she did, this was closure for her. And in so many ways, this really ended up being the end of her marriage. My opinion. Kody and Robin continuously say certain things about the kid, that it's not about the marriage, it's about the kids and making sure the kids are safe and all those other things. But it did take a lot of sacrifice of Mary. And I think that's kind of what Janelle was trying to say in that moment. She says so many people, Robin, look at them like they have a hard life. But this woman loves my kids enough that she's going to give up what she has so that my children can feel included and brought into the family. And that's just the most beautiful experience. I thought they felt included once y'all did all these different ceremonies that we saw from the very beginning. They've been calling him dad and things of that nature. I think that Robin just makes things really convenient and really like puts her own feelings onto her kids. I don't feel like that these kids were not feeling included. We see how they're being included time and time again. And it's just so sad to see what this has turned out to be. She said that this is just the most beautiful experience. It's a sacrifice. Sure knows how to lay it on thick. I didn't believe it then, and I sure as hell don't believe it now. She's a damn liar. Kody says nothing has changed. Mary says, I beg to differ. I think my relationship with Kody has gotten better since I divorced him. He says it wasn't because of what you did that it got better. It's because there's a natural ebb and flow. And Kody was making sure that he got that divorce. And he played along, in my opinion, to get what he needed. Let's be clear here. Kody very much so probably gave Mary a lot more leeway once she actually did those papers. I think that he was kind of alluding to certain things here and there, as we know that he does. The same way he wanted the one house thing and he was doing things behind their back as far as that and then presented it. I think he did the same thing with this divorce, that he slowly said little things, and so did Robin, to the point where she would feel like it was her idea. Mary thinks that they've leaned on each other and gotten stronger during this struggle. Janelle says she does worry about the perception of the world and how they'll now view things since this marriage shift. Christine says she doesn't care what they think. And Christine, once again, I don't believe what you're saying. Mary also says that Cody or Robin did not push her to do this. That was not the case. And she doesn't want us to think that. She is so naive. She doesn't even see what they did. Even to this day, she doesn't see it. The show ends with someone saying, I love this family. The ups and downs. They've raised wonderful. Let me say that over. I love this family. Despite the ups and downs, they've raised a wonderful bunch of kids. And I feel like that's all they seem to have succeeded at, was these beautiful kids, because a lot of these women were unhappy for many, many years in these marriages. And that is all I got for the tell all. Please leave your comments down below. If you have not done so already, please thumbs up the video. It does help me get in the algorithm. Until next time.